Hello, good morning, good afternoon. Oh no,
You know
I
what?
can't hear
I
now.
should have.
Oh, there we go.
What happened was, I'll tell you what happened. Because the last few times we started, I've always made noise before I should have. And this time I thought, I know, I'll solve this problem by muting myself. And I
And
did.
thus create a whole
So,
new problem.
yeah, which is kind of the way I like to live my life, solving one problem, creating a new one. There's a perpetual problem loop. Um,
The life
yeah.
of a developer is, I'm told.
And Doctor Who, apparently. So there's
Uh-huh.
multiple angles on that. Yeah. So, how are you getting on?
Pretty good. Woke up not long ago. Um, Super excited to learn more about DMN, which I know very little about and seems
Perfect.
complicated.
It is. So there's yeah, we'll do two things today that I thought would be nice. Um, the first is I've got some forum questions that I found as always of the last day or so that came up that I think might be kind of fun to try and build or fix or whatever. The other thing is DMN. The reason is because a whole bunch of work has gone into improving DMN for Camunda 8 the last little while, kind of sneakily added over the course of time. And the funny thing was, I only actually we released so much software and so many projects, so many updates that I only realized all these improvements happened when I actually went to build some DMN stuff for another project I was working on and realized a whole bunch of extra really nice features have been added to it. So I want to sort of play with it and see what else I can build. And also, folks can follow along and see if they enjoy the joy that DMN brings me. And me, I assume it'll also bring you joy. I assume.
Oh, yeah. I mean, why not?
Great stuff.
We also have a comment in the chat. Hello, strangers, from our newest several team member. So that's a very fun way to introduce yourself to the general public.
Yeah, I can't believe Jacob thinks we're still strangers, but that's okay. I understand.
After all this time, after a whole week.
I know, yeah, you would think that right now we're like bosom buddies, but that's fine. I'm fine with having some work to do. You have to earn friendship, right? You have to earn not being a stranger.
The
So
audacity.
we'll try we'll try that. But yeah, so let me share and get started. Where do you want to start? I think we'll start with some forum questions first and then ease our way into some DMN.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Cool. So I invented a really fun game that I was reminded about recently because it's in the training. Um, oh man, this is where I have to decide what is the name of my screen again.
Hopefully not the world domination screen.
Yeah, no one can know that. And screen two? Oh no, sounds right. Screen one. Can you name these? Okay, doesn't matter. Can you see the thing?
Hold. Yes.
Hooray! That's the correct screen. Well done, everybody. So I used to do this thing where I would, for BPMN trainings, I created a bunch of these models, and some were very complicated and some were very easy to understand. Some had errors in them and some didn't. And it was like the last thing I did at the end of the training would be I called it BPMN roulette. I would create all these models, and then everyone in the class had to pick a number. And then I would open up the tab that had the model on it, and they would have to try and explain what happens in the process and if there are any errors in it. And yeah, that was really fun. And I found out recently through chatting with Jacob actually that it's in the academy as well. That exact game. Yeah. So if you want to play that, it's really fun. Look for Beefman Roulette in the Beefman training. It's a lot of fun. I loved building those models, and I'm so glad that they're still being used. So with that in mind, I have for you three different questions, 1, 2, and 3 from the forum that I think are kind of interesting. Pick one and we'll try and solve it.
Okay, hold. I'm zooming. PPMN help for my project. Can we link the PDF to Camunda? Implement task level timeout. Let's do the PDF one.
Great. I was hoping you wouldn't do that one because I have no idea how to solve this. So let's talk about it.
No.
The main reason is because this is a really interesting one. Let's talk through it first. Let's talk about the question. Okay, so they have some PDF that they want to have somewhere, and they want to download it from Camunda, and they want to display it probably in a user task, right? This is super common, being able to manipulate these. Now, the first thing that's really important is understanding what Camunda isn't, which is Camunda is not a document management system. So let's have a quick, let's see if we can build something to show you how this might work. Oh, nice idea to put the forum there.
Yeah, I was going through and making sure that we put the Orchestration Hour link to the previous questions, and I realized that we didn't actually link the forum questions, because that would have made my life easier too. So
yeah, sorry about that.
No, we learn, we live, we learn.
Sure.
Okay, so
PDF.
the PDF type document, which I want to have available in that workflow. Maybe download the PDF format service task so that end user can download the same.
So let's create the process and let's talk through it as we build. So this is download and store, download, store, and view PDF. Great. Was that
music?
That music is actually outside. So
oh, that's right. Okay, it's the emergency broadcast system.
You know what? It might even be music. I don't know. I'm in a part of Berlin that right now is sort of seems to be kind of locked down by police because a foreign dignitary is visiting Berlin at the moment, and so there's just cops everywhere, and as well as random noise, like random music playing. I don't know what's happening. That's where I'm at. I've been inside all day, so I'm sure it's very exciting out there. But
just so I hear
random things. Yeah. Usually I just hear the sound of protesting, which is also quite nice. So
do you hear the people sing?
See, that's why we need you here. So we're gonna have a PDF thingy. Cool. And now let's talk about exactly what we're trying to do here. The end event is that PDF is viewed and stored, right? So let's have an end event here. So PDF is viewed and stored. So here is some important architectural questions about how we want to think about this. The first is that who owns the PDF? As in, like, where is it stored? Who's in charge of having the latest version? Where is the source of truth for this? And the thing is, it's possible that they are taking the PDF from somewhere and then they're creating their own source of truth for that. Like, let's say someone uploads a PDF, let's say, and then they want to store it. But in all cases, Camunda itself is not the place that should be actually storing or even transferring this. And that's for a bunch of reasons. So, for instance, the first thing we'd like to do would be we'd like to, let's say, store the PDF. And then that we can do automatically. There we go. And then we can do something like a view PDF. So you would think in an old, like maybe ERP system or something, you may imagine that, oh, that's really easy. I upload the PDF into Camunda, then Camunda takes that and then runs some code that stores it somewhere. And then I can view it, right? And actually, that's not exactly the way we can do it. It's not really what we should be doing. The reason is because even uploading the PDF itself into Camunda can be a big problem. One of the big issues is that you can you might end up with a PDF that's massive, and the problem is that slows down everything, because as well as like ZB has data replication across different nodes. So every single PDF you do, you might end up duplicating it. There's also a size limit to how much data Camunda can actually deal with. So what you need to do is, and I'm just going to demonstrate this by creating a pool around here, is you need a third-party document management system, a dedicated one. And there's a whole bunch of reasons behind that. The first one is simply once this process ends, let's imagine the process.
Yeah, where's the PDF? If it's just
Who
in
owns
the
it?
process, even if
Yeah,
we
exactly.
could store it, it's just in this weird no man's land.
Exactly. It's really hard to get to. Camunda is not really designed to be querying your data for you. Why can't I change this into oh yeah, oops. There we go. So this is our data. This is our document management.
Niall, do you know how to read Russian?
A script task in JavaScript or Groovy might work. Camunda 8. Oh, they're asking if Camunda 8. Maybe? Yeah. So if Camunda 8 actually doesn't directly support the what's it? The execution of that. Camunda 7 did, and it wouldn't work here. So if I change it to a script task, you'll see that I only have one option for two options for implementation type. First is a field expression, which in truth is probably about as much as you should be doing. In Camunda 7, you were able to access JavaScript libraries and Groovy if you actually deployed Camunda alongside it. So you can actually have native JavaScript and native Groovy messing around in your process. The problem with that was it then ended up having access to like API that it shouldn't have. It was a bit of a security issue. So you didn't really want that to happen. Also, it meant custom code was kind of embedded in your model. And now that's okay in general if it's doing something basic, but because Groovy and JavaScript can do things very complicated, the door was open for doing really, really complicated things and embedding it all in this XML, which makes it very hard to maintain. For that reason, we decided actively when designing Camunda 8 not to allow for custom languages to be executed natively. So you can't do that anymore. But you can do most things that you should be able to do. Like you can manipulate processes, you can manipulate data, you can create new variables, you can do comparisons, you can do lots of stuff with feel. We'll talk more about that, I think, later when we mess around with DMN more. But everything...
I also saw in the connector marketplace, or in the marketplace, that we have a connector request for Groovy. So like it's not a thing yet, but here, I'll share it in the chat.
You probably wouldn't even need a connector if you didn't want one. The idea would be that you would have an external bit of Groovy that runs externally, which kind of like nullifies the point of using a scripting language if you're already putting it somewhere in a different place, but it doesn't matter. And you can still call that over network. You don't necessarily need a connector for it. Connector just makes it very easy to use, and it would be really handy if you already like using Groovy. But the reality is you can't execute Groovy locally or JavaScript locally, but you can do both externally, which is why we have this other implementation here of job worker. So if it was job worker, you would then have a thing that said, my Groovy code. Groovy, a language that never lived up to its awesome name. Shame. So yeah, and that would work.
Hot takes early in the morning on my time.
I do actually quite like doing Groovy because it's a little closer to Java than JavaScript is, and that's my safe space. Anyway, getting back to our question here. So the idea would be that we have this. So we have this this input of a PDF, and we need to store it, right? So let's say it's here. Actually, no, we can't do that because it's not allowed. Let's put the PDF here. Oh my God. Okay, there we go. And there it is. That's our PDF, and it's input. Now, the funny thing is that it's actually not the input. What's the input is actually a reference to where it is right now, the actual location. And that can be in some temporary file or something, or temporary folder, because then this chap here is going to do the actual work. So it gets a location. So you can do an upload to a temporary folder. If that's successful, it gives you back a location, a temporary location where that file is maintained. And then that data of the location is in the variable, we store. So then this thing has a variable that says, here is the location of the PDF. And then it's going to make the call to the external document management system to say, hey, I'm going to upload this into your system. And it's going to say, great, here is the new location. Here is where we've stored it. And then this PDF viewer is actually going to take the information passed along here, which is the new location for it, and it's going to query the document management system for where that is, right? And there's loads of reasons why this is a good idea. And it's because a document management system could be accessed by lots of different places. Let's have a little hypothetical here. Let's imagine that between storing it and viewing it, we have a timer of, because like, you know, we want documents age like a fine wine. And so we want to give it like a nice 3 weeks just to get used to its new home. And I can use some funky old token simulation to demonstrate this. So yeah, as I mentioned, we arrive here, we send our stuff, it comes back, we then have our thing, it then goes forward. Man, I'll give an excuse to use token simulation. So let's imagine it's 3 weeks. And it's very possible there's a second kind of process because documents can change or be updated. So we could have a process here that's also running on Camunda. And this is going to be called update document process. And it just basically queries for the document that was uploaded and then makes a change to it. So it gives them, here's the location where the document is, here's the new document to upload. So in this case, you see that the document management system owns the state and the current version of the process, because what could happen is token simulation. I can't actually trigger this process, I don't think. Can I? Let's see. Okay, so this stores the stuff, which all goes according to plan. We can't trigger these message events, but trust me, they happen. So we store the document. Then this process runs, updates the document, right? And now this has a variable, and that variable is a description from the document management system of exactly where to find this document or where it's located, which is now still relevant and now not out of date, because as soon as it queries it, it gets the latest version. So some people might say, what's the point in storing it, taking it back, and then querying for it again? Well, the point is you want that to be fresh, because you don't need this timer to be here for this to take forever, because as you can see, we're now, this user task is available, and you don't know when exactly somebody is going to open it or use it. It could actually be they've gone on holiday to like Bali for 3 weeks.
Wow, jealous.
Yeah, exactly. And they had a great time. You know, they showed you the pictures of their holiday, and you tried really hard to like keep inside how jealous you were, but you couldn't. And that friendship is now burned because you just couldn't hold in your anger. And
sounds like me.
And you've seen an outdated PDF, so it's been a really bad day.
Well, and also just thinking to, again, using a document management system, not just relying on it being in Camunda, then if you need to use it for a different process or you need to access it outside the process for any reason,
exactly.
You need to do some sort of, I assume anytime you have a PDF, it just feels like it's like some sort of PII, so you have to delete it after a certain number of days or whatever, right? Like there's some level of management that you need to do that wouldn't be possible just inside Camunda.
You're absolutely right. As well as that, the document management system probably has its own front end that you can mess around in. And so for that reason and many others, your process should have this pattern of maintaining IDs generated from a document management system. And then these are external. So they actually the engine never actually sees, these are services, both of them are external from the engine. So they could actually load the PDF itself if they wanted to into their own thing, but they actually don't need to. But this still doesn't touch the engine. And same as this is viewing the PDF and it's actually appearing on someone's screen, but the engine still doesn't know anything about that because that happens on the client side.
And
so
then,
it's still
okay, I don't want to throw a wrench or a spanner into any of this, but They mentioned that they got the PDF from a REST endpoint. So
yeah, that's
my curiosity
easy.
is like, okay, I just don't know what that would look like if I were, because I've only ever gotten like a JSON object from a REST endpoint.
So it's actually the file type will change. So you can actually, if you look at like the, let's open up a REST client. Okay, in a REST client, you often have in it a description of what to expect back. And the default is going to be application JSON is the usual expectation of what you're going to receive. But you can change that to tell, oh, this REST call, expect back I think it's called a MIMI or something file type. So that's actually part of the the REST stuff, and that's usually a data dump of like just. I mean, I think it's binary. I can't remember exactly how it's stored, but it can be like either I think unserialized stuff or whatever. And so that's quite messy. In this case, what's really cool is this could actually do the work of just grabbing the file itself and putting it into its own context and then sending the file itself. And the file could be like 100 megs or a gig or whatever, but this thing is not actually executing that code on the engine. It's actually executing it in its own, because each of these are microservices in its own resource pool, in its own server. So it still doesn't touch the engine, which means it's way easier to scale. Because you can imagine one document that comes in that's 1 gig of upload is going to keep this service busy for ages. If this was a script, for instance, you could actually start running out of resources if 2 or 3 or 4 big files come in on a very small server. But because this is externalized, each file is actually being processed on its own independent microservice in parallel and doesn't affect the engine. And if there's a whole bunch more files coming in, you can just spin up more and more of those workers to do the work, to pick up more files. Or the same is true if there's very few of those files coming in, you can make them all go small again and only have one running.
Well, for someone who claims you weren't sure how to answer this question, I think you did a pretty solid job.
Thank you very, very much. Yeah, and you know what? Some of what I just said was even true. I won't tell you which bits because that's spoilers.
Yeah, you get to figure that out yourself.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's a great starting point.
Cool. So let's move on to next. Would you like BPMN help or would you like implementation on task level timeout?
BPMN help.
Okay.
I have no idea. It could be anything.
This is, I think, someone's homework. So let's talk through it. I have no problem helping people with homework, but the way it's described, it feels like someone came up with it as an exercise for somebody. I could be wrong, of course. So Francis here has come on to the community and asked, help a BPMN depiction. I need to depict the following requirements into a process diagram. At any time, the sales department must be able to see the progress of their prospective client cases. At any time, sales may change the priority of the onboarding case to high. When this happens, the operations admin division should acknowledge the change and ensure that the case priority has been changed. So this is, and I asked them if this is part of an existing process, and they said no. And so this has
homework written all over it.
Yeah. And as I said, no shade. This is a good place to come if you want some help on your homework, because I'm going to explain
I love it.
The ways in which you can do this. This says Camunda 7, but it doesn't really matter because it's a BPMN problem. So let's swing back to our modeler and let's create a new. I'm going to change the. I'm going to change this to Orchestration Hour homework. Okay, so new process application, and this is going to be sales changes priority. Now, the reason why this needs an existing process is because if you read from the description here, it already says at any time the sales department must see the progress of their prospective client cases. So that probably means that we have some maybe sales cycle or some,
Yeah.
what's it called? What does this call it? Is it filter or funnel or something like that? They have some kitchenware. Let's call it a
There's
spatula.
a sales funnel, yes.
Sales spatula. No, I can't spell spatula. This is going to be something else. So it's going to be sales frying pan. We're picking a whole different thing. We're reinventing sales, Mia, and our sales frying pan has started, and they keep getting flipped until they're cooked. The metaphor kind of works. Kind of.
Almost, yeah.
I'm trying real hard on that one.
I love it. It's why make things easy?
Yeah, never. So they've fallen into the frying pan, and at the end, of course, if it's successful, they fall into the fire, because that's where you go after a frying pan. So that's our sales cycle, from frying pan to fire. So what happens in between? Mia, this is up to you. I put you in. I've decided to throw you in the deep end here. What happens first in our frying pan?
So I think something about the determined priority of case.
So we have to check if the food is fresh. If it's gone off, we don't want to. Let's see, that's a human task. We got to check the food that we're about to put in the frying pan. We don't want to start frying stuff and then find out it's a spoiled egg. That'll be a terrible omelet for anybody. So food is fresh is the first thing. So which means after it's been checked, we have, of course, is food fresh. And if it's not fresh, I guess we end the process, right?
Yeah. Don't cook that omelet.
Yeah, rotten food. Okay, and let's try something. Let's try a little. Is there a puke emoji? I think there is.
It's right to the left.
Left.
Up. Oh no, wait, that's money. Everything's small.
You know what? Yeah, we'll use that one later for sure. There's got there we go. We got that emoji. Cool. So there we go.
I didn't know you could put emojis in. How have I not been doing that this whole time? Is that new?
Do you know who actually first introduced me to this was actually Maria, because Maria actually named her clusters emojis, and you have no idea how confusing that is when you're navigating Maria's organization on SAS. Is that there's this emojis, so she'll say, "Oh, I deployed it to the alien," and there's an alien cluster. So it makes more sense when you're there, but said out loud is weird. So we have rotten food. We got all sick. Very, very sad. So we don't want that. If it's good, what happens next?
Pass it along to a salesperson.
And continue the food metaphor. How do we do that?
Chef cooks it.
Give it to the chef?
Yeah.
To the chef. Cool. So there we go. So the chef now has it. Now that's just handing it over to the chef isn't much of a task. So you take a food, then give the chef to cook specifically, right? Like you said, yeah, to cook. So the chef is going to start cooking this funky. And now we've all cooked before, and we all know that sometimes these things don't go according to plan. So let's actually not use a gateway this time. That's a bit too easy. Let's instead use a boundary event. Error boundary event, and this is going to be the food is burnt.
Food.
Yeah, burned the food. Let's continue as we Let's just continue as we started and get some fire in our. Oh, come on.
Fire's under, I think the nature ones.
Shall I try the search function to see if that?
Yeah, the search works pretty well.
Okay, I use shrug almost all the time. So fire. There it is. Great. Okay. Burnt food and bad news. And then here we, I don't know, sad face, I guess, right? Because it's sad when we...
Not emoji BPMN diagrams. No explanation for you.
Double side face there. Cool. So now, luckily, if things aren't burnt, we then have a well-cooked meal. And so I guess then it's eat well-cooked meal. So far,
Okay.
we haven't even begun to answer the question. We're just building the process.
Well, you need a process to add a thing that can happen at any time, right? So
that's very true. So here's my process that we're going to use. It is fully accurate, and I'm going to just quickly check. At any time, the sales department must be able to see the progress of their prospective clients' cases. Anytime sales case. So that means that essentially they want to query to find out what the status is, right? And we don't really have a good indication of a status change. What's really interesting is what we do have is we have multiple tasks, but status is different, right? Because the status can say something like, if I put it here, like a milestone, I can say the status is ready to be cooked. And the status stays that way. This can also be a status, and until over here, where we'll add a status of ready to be cooked to ready to be eaten. Could I do something with uninterrupting message and how execution of embedded subprocess started by uninterrupting immediate execute main process? Yes, you could. In fact, I might do that. That's a good suggestion. So let's. This is a good suggestion from. I imagine Office is not your first name, but I'm going to call you Office. So could you do something with uninterrupted or uninterrupting intermediate message and how execution of embedded subprocess started an uninterrupted intermediate message affect the execution of the main process? So the key thing that Office has pointed out is that this requirement means we cannot change the process. Whenever the sales are asking for what the stuff is going on, or whenever sales has to change priority, they actually shouldn't be changing the fundamentals of the process. This should still run exactly as we have here. So querying it shouldn't do anything weird. So, and you've mentioned a non-interrupting process, and that's what I'll build first off, right? So let's do the first thing. Sales are asking about the current status. So we can use my favorite symbol, an event subprocess, and this can take in a message event. And actually, Office mentioned a very particular thing, which is very important. It needs to be non-interrupting. I'll show the difference later, but it's fundamentally impossible that this message says get status of customer or get status of dinner. Because don't forget, the metaphor sticks.
Dinner, yes.
I'm building this in a way that means that if they do copy it for homework, they do have to rename everything. So,
oh yeah, I was picking up what you're putting down.
Okay,
you said you cannot simply screen cap this and send it in. Yeah. I will know. Your professor will say this is not correct.
So once this thing comes through, we can do a simple thing. And this is actually this is a good example of where a good example to use a script task is. Because the script task can then just get the status variable. You can imagine that every time we pass by one of these, we have a status variable. And at this point, it's set to, let's say, pre-check or whatever, right? It's set to food just arrived is the status. Then the same variable changes to ready to be cooked. And then we get here, the variable changes to ready to be eaten, right? So it's really easy then to use a non-interrupted message event to get the status and then use a message end event to send the status back to where it came from. And the really key thing and why I think it's a good idea to use a message event as Office suggested is because of the implementation. Because if they're looking for a specific client, so when they send the message in, all they need is the message called like get status. And they just need to know the ID of the client or the name of the client. And you can actually correlate the message on that. So Camunda will actually work to find the instance that you're specifically looking for, the one that's referencing your client, without you getting back like a whole bunch of instances and having to sort through it. So let's take a look at how that looks in token simulation land. So I'm going to make a pause here and a pause here. So we check if the food is fresh. Good news, it is. And now it's ready to be cooked. So the current status is ready to be cooked. And then suddenly some salesperson says, hey, what's going on? I would like to get the status. And then status is gotten at this point. We get the status and then return the result. The thing is, the really fun thing is that this does not affect the process, as we asked. Okay, it's not a homework assignment. That's great. Happy to do this. I wish it was a homework assignment. It would make it easier for me. But so then it can come in multiple times, right?
That's and it doesn't change anything about the actual process it's executing. Yeah,
exactly. And then we can go here to the next one. And now if they ask for the process, they'll now get a new variable. Ta-da! So it's pretty good. If you could really mess this up by one small symbol change, which is if this was actually interrupting, then it would break everything. Because then, interestingly, we get to this point, the chef would be in the middle of cooking stuff, and then a message would come in saying, get my status, and then boom.
Oh, they took it from the chef somehow.
They went in, they grabbed the plate, ran out the door, and said the status is almost cooked, which is not relevant if you've stopped cooking it. So yeah, that's one way of doing it. There's two parts to this, of course. The second one is
I hate when that happens to me too. You're so right.
I've said sorry, Maria. Okay, I don't know why you can't just get over it. I get very hangry, and now Maria will never cook for me again. So that's the result of that. So sales may change the priority of the onboarding case to high when this happens. The operations admin acknowledges. Great. I like this question because this actually is not just a BPMN change. We haven't dealt with priority at all in this. Okay, and actually with Camunda 8, I don't even know if we can. Let's find out. So Camunda 7 used to have prioritization on tasks. I don't know if we do. Well, follow-up date might work. Let's.
I assumed it would be a variable that we could assign to it.
We could. The issue is that let's imagine that it's already on this task, and we update the variable. So how is that? Like the variable might change, but how does that change the priority, right? So like I could change the priority value, but how does that incentivize someone to actually do anything? What does the front end look like for a variable that changes? So I'm trying to think only about changing the priority. To me would also like maybe update a follow-up date. So that's possible. Or due date, sorry, not follow-up date.
Or a due date, yeah, like somehow push it to the front of the line.
Yeah, exactly. So if everything has a default due date, now I'm going to get technical because the due date can be in field and it can be auto-calculated. Let's say a week. By default, it's a week from today. Okay, so that means that we have to have a variable called due date, right? And due date needs to be calculated. And then recalculated when the new one comes in. Make sense? I don't know if this works. I want to try it though. I don't know if we actually do update it. I need to make this smaller. So I'll really quickly make a new process that's just going to see if I can do a smaller version of this because I have no idea if this works. Let me explain what I'm talking about because I'm like in my head, I'm like 5 steps ahead and I need to step backwards a bit.
Do you visualize in BPMN diagrams?
Who doesn't? Clearly.
I don't have a visual memory. I'm one of those people, so not me.
Oh my goodness. I
know it's tragic.
I don't even know. Like myself and my brother had to cook Christmas dinner last Christmas. We volunteered to cook Christmas dinner, and there was so many parts to Christmas dinner, like so many things, so much timing. We did the entire thing in BPMN first before we even started, including timer events and and priority, task
Oh, I
priority.
love
So
that.
yeah,
That's so funny.
it worked great. So this is
A family that
our
BPMNs together stays together.
well, or argues a lot about games together. Same thing. So this is the important task. And what we'll have here is the change date task. And this actually is actually a never-ending task. This is going to loop forever. Oh, look at that. That's a nice new thing we did. And that means that this needs to be a terminate event. Okay. So so the idea is that I'm going to have a due date here, right? And this is actually going to update that variable. And I'm going to see if this recalculates it and updates the task if that variable changes. Now, sure, some people, I don't think Steve is on the call, which is luckily enough, or Steve is on the stream. So some people might say, look in the documentation, Niall. I'm sure it's written somewhere. But as we know, docs are spoilers, and I'm not interested in finding stuff out through reading.
Which is a shame because our docs are legitimately good, and
they
I
are.
feel bad
They're
for
too
our doc
good.
team every time.
They spoil the mystery. That's my problem. It's like reading like a mystery novel and finding out who did it at the beginning. The docs are just which one is this? Change important task. So this is important thing, and for our important task, actually, you know what? I'm going to just generate a form. A form that is very important and has lots of important things to do. There we go.
Jacob has just discovered the phrase "docs are spoilers."
Yeah,
yes.
It's how we roll.
It came from a previous stream. I don't remember when or how, but it sounds like a thing that would just happen. But yes, we should get stickers.
I think it was because I was trying to look at all the important information that we have. Select an option, more options, some tags. This is brilliant.
I accept the terms and conditions. Wow.
This is important. This is very important. And look, it's mandatory. Yeah. Okay, so this is good enough for me. So
every time you use the AI form generator, I swear it gets better, because the first time we used it, it was like, okay, yeah, kind of. And now it's like, oh, here, make an important form full of important information. And it just kind of figured that out.
Yeah, I just knew I was taking the piss and decided to do the same. But what happened was I remember the Doctor Spoilers thing happened because I just watched the release presentation where I got a lot of it was quite quick pace, so not everyone got to demo the new features, and I remember people just had a point on the slide about a new feature, and I decided to go and change it.
You said, I'm going to figure this out without reading anything about this. Yeah. You said bullet point this feature, and I said, I'm going to see what I think that means.
Exactly. Then I just go dive into it and then see if I can find it and not use the docs, because the docs are too easy. So we're going to pick a date, a time and date. Is it just date or time and date? Which should I go for? Ooh, I don't know. Let's do both. No, let's not. Let's do one. Ah!
We also have one more question from Office. The activity chef cooking throws an exception. That exception is being caught by boundary error event. Can this boundary error event catch multiple exceptions / error event?
It can catch either one or all is the answer. I have no idea why the modeler, I think the modeler is just updating or something. That happens sometimes. So the option is you can either give it a specific error name that it's only waiting for an error with that code, or you can not give it a code at all, and then it'll catch all errors, irrelevant of code. So you can choose. You can also have multiple boundary error events to catch different ones and do different things with them depending what they are. So we have a change date. Let's put this back. And this is a due date. Was due date all one word? Probably.
I think so.
It's a date or a time or a date and time? Date and time feels right, doesn't it?
Yeah, if it was real, it would be date and time.
Yeah. There's only one way to find out for sure. Let's go to the task list and let's find out if. Oh, let's go to the Alfie. The Alfie 1 is here. Alfie 2 still hasn't arrived yet, which is why we can't demonstrate the fun Alfie features. Oh, I have no tasks on this actually. Now I think about it, so there's no point. Let's go back to yeah. There we go. That idea ends quickly.
It was exciting.
Yeah, and even better.
Delivery event catch different types of errors. That's a great hint. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you want to make it look better, you can surround it by a sub process, and then you can have lots of error events that can catch lots of errors from different processes, or the same error that could happen on multiple processes. Let's see, what's Rupert got to say? So Rupert is going to hopefully have a task, and now I'm going to try and just set a date and see if I find out if it's a time. Oh, we have time and date. Okay, good. That's important.
Those are, yeah.
So
these
there's
are not from the same thing, right?
That's a time and that's a date and time, but I can't change it. Let me change it. Is there any way to change the time and date, or is it just create? Oh, it's creation date. But due date, I imagine. Oh, I can't edit it, but I guess it's the same. We'll find out. We're gonna just let's just fall into it. Let's say time and date. Time and date is great, and the default is, yeah, okay, whatever that is. Where's my default? Use 24 hours. Damn right. Oh no, it broke.
Deleted it.
The due date is always tomorrow at 12 lunchtime. Why is he 24 hours? Yeah, it's got time zone and stuff. Cool. Why doesn't it say doesn't that let me do the intervals 50 minutes, allow past dates, serialization. I wanted to have a default or okay, doesn't matter. There, default. Okay, cool. Let's go back to our diagram and let's test if this works. So this produces a variable called due date. Oh, thank you very much, Maria. Yeah, it's almost really not. I think it's funny, like variables actually should be often written in camel case, and I didn't even do that. So it should be like that, I guess. And
must be
that. I know it's just because it's not a. I didn't put it as an expression, and I think this should tell me that due date is correct.
No capitalization.
Thanks, Maria.
But that somehow looks wrong.
Yeah, somehow it does. Yeah. Okay, so that should do the trick. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? I've forgotten something. I actually need to. This is going to look. No. Oh, how do I do it? I'll just set the variable. Okay, so I also need to set the default because I can't do it when the task arrives. So I actually need to create an output here. And it's actually, this is where due date comes into its own. So this will be due date, Maria? Yes. Cool. And this is what the default will be. Boom. So now when it starts, it'll at least have something to show. Let's see if it breaks. That's what we'll call this process.
Let's see if it breaks.
Yeah. And
is this the only one you have that's called that?
Actually, yeah. Usually they're called "This Won't Work" or "I'm sorry." Wait, what? This resource is part of a main process. Deploy all resources. Okay. Now, I don't want to deploy the original one, so I'm going to do a little cheat here. No, that's not right. That's the PDF one. So the problem is I need to deploy this one as well as my achy breaky process. And so I can sort of, there's an old trick that I used to use with Camunda 7 that I'm going to see if I can use here. Let's find out. So right now the problem is that I can't deploy this because it's not implemented, right? That's the problem. It'll throw loads of errors. I'll have to implement a bunch of things. But I just want to see if it works. So I'm going to do this really fun thing that I used to do in Camunda 7, and I hope it works. I'm going to surround it with a pool, and then that pool has a very special little tick box called executable. If I untick this, the engine will think this is just, all the errors have gone away, that this is just for documentation purposes, and won't try to implement any of this and not try to deploy it. This, is, of course, is throwing an error saying what? Please don't tell me not allowed to do that. One process must be executable. No problem. I can solve that problem also in a very cheaty way. Okay. Oh, look at all this red stuff.
Yeah, it's mad at you.
Yeah, it sure is. Go away.
That's what all my processes look like, though.
Okay, I just want an end event. There we go. Ha! Suck it, Linter. Okay, so and now we have an execute.
Do this.
That should be the name of the stream.
It's no longer the orchestration hour.
No, it's now nobody do this. Actually, to make this even weirder.
No.
Now, really, no one do this because I'm going to just I'm going to use the call activity and actually call our subprocess. So now it does do something, which is nice. Okay, let's do it. Deploy to Rupert. Should deploy to Alfie. Ooh, it's complaining about things. So yeah,
says, Niall needs a shirt that says "Suck it, Linter." I think we're coming up with some really good sticker ideas, personally.
Yeah, some really bad ideas for modeling and some really good ideas for stickers. So I'm now going to start this. Yeah. Oh man, I have to start the main process. Oh, that's really sucky. Okay, let's.
It's almost like Camunda wants you to do things properly.
Almost, yeah. Let's just go sales. I'm so sorry if people are watching this trying to find the and are interested in the actual solution to what we're trying to answer here. What was this called? Sales change policy, or also participant?
Priority.
Oh, ha ha ha! That's what I called it.
Oh, ha ha.
Ah, there it is. Great. So let's start this. Start this instance. Oh, this is going to be a mess. Okay. Oh my goodness. What have I done? I don't even know what this process does anymore.
Nobody does.
This is going great. This is.
It never did anything.
Now here's where I wish I could actually search for the process, because I have a lot of. Oh, there it is. Haha, is running.
And it's green.
Yeah, that's fine. It's green because this is calling the process we actually want to see, which is this one, which might be broken. No, it's also working. Okay, so let's go to task list. So we have the important task, which has all of our fun stuff, and it has our due date. Okay, I'm age 18. To be young and in shorts. Okay, so this has a due date of later this week, the default date that we created, and we should be able to change it because here it is as well, same date. Let's take a look at the variable here. Okay, so this is the date. It's on here. It's there. So if we change the priority and say this is more important, this is fundamental to our company. Please get this done by 9.
You have to assign it to you.
Yeah. Let's get this done by 9:15. Okay. let's complete this task. The task should then come back from spinning a circle. And this should change if it works. If I think it works, so it does. It doesn't.
Maybe refresh it.
This changed to 9, so it did change the variable. And this has no, there it is. So the 9 a.m. came here, and nope, still 12. So we can't update the due date by changing the variable. Let's see if there's any information about the task here. Doing a dumb way, that's not really a good idea. So we would then need to change it via API. And for that, I should probably, should I look in the docs? Is that something we're prepared to do? Yeah, all right. Okay, let's have a wee gander into the docs and we'll find out. Yeah. And I'm not going to look too far. I'm going to go straight to the AI. How do I find out the due date of a task via REST? Now we wait.
Hey,
it's telling me the right answer. Madness.
Hey, the Docs AI is actually great. I'm an AI skeptic, and I'm a big fan of this one.
What's the question that I had before when we had this problem? What's the endpoint? It just says get I task, but where's the endpoint?
Click the documentation link.
Let's follow here. We'll keep this up. This is very useful, actually. So we have our task. Wow, this is actually pretty good. So we have our task.
Oh, wow, our documentation. Actually,
yeah, you know what? We should use this. So working with API and tools, maybe this will tell me what the SAS endpoint is.
I know they updated it after our embarrassing time that last time.
Yeah, that's why I burned me before. Taskless REST API. Okay, we already did that. Okay, overview. Oh, wait. This looks good. This is our endpoint. Amazing.
Yay. They put it right at the top. They said, okay, dummies.
Thanks to our wonderful developer experience team and to a lesser extent, Stephen Hicks.
To a lesser extent.
No, that guy's the best. What's it called? Postman. Last time I tried to open Postman, it was very angry with me. So let's see if I can make it behave better this time. It's like awakened from its slumber, like, Edge or something. Okay. So we need a region, we need a cluster ID, and we should be able to access. So then if we're able to access the due date, then we can actually, then we can just set the due date on the task. Come on, Postman. Wakey, wakey. What? Okay, let's try that. Hope it's not for a password because I have no idea. What is happening?
I guess they're having problems with robots. That's actually the theme of 2024, I feel.
Problems with robots?
Yeah,
another great sticker.
So much AI stuff these days. It's terrible. Like, it's so hard to figure out what's real and what isn't. I read this blog post that someone did, and there's someone with an art history education, and they were looking for like prints on Etsy, and they found all these cool ones by this artist that they like, and they're like, wow, this must be from like their back catalog. I've never seen these ones. And then it turns out they were just all AI generated in the style of that artist.
Oh, that's so interesting and terrifying, and also
I know
stealing.
That's our future.
Yeah, I don't trust robots that much.
I would like to. I can tell them what to
do. True. As a programmer, they've never done what I wanted to do.
Hello, Abhishek. Welcome to the stream. We're just waiting for Postman to load. Very exciting.
You've actually missed a lot of action. This is just a taste of it. If this doesn't excite you, I'm not sure what would. This for me, the sight of a process that isn't currently in error state is very exciting. And okay, you know what? Screw that. It might actually be faster to build the process than it will be to log into Postman. So I'm going to do that.
Which is wild.
Yeah.
We can just blame it on streaming, because I swear sometimes your computer is like, you're doing too much at once.
Yeah, true. Let's make a REST call, and this call should update it with a new instance. Should be easy enough.
Famous last words.
I mean, nothing's that easy, but if I say it out loud, maybe one day it'll be true. So right after, let's go to this. So right after this task, after they change the date, I want to actually make a REST call to then update the task. Cool. And yeah, definitely the stream is hurting the modeler. And this is going to be just a REST call. So let's select REST. Yeah, it is. For whatever reason, the modeler is just not happy. It's so slow.
It's because you're doing too much.
Yeah, you know what? I work too hard. You're right. Okay, so let's go here and let's. We probably need some authentication, right? But the URL basically looks like this, which is we need a region and we need a cluster ID. I can find that. Let's find our cluster. So I know that our region is this. Now, this isn't actually how you can find out the information. This is just how I will decide to find out the information. You can actually look at your cluster. Actually, should I do the proper way? Yeah, it's probably
yes, you should.
Yeah, let's do it. Instead of like just dragging it out of the URL, I might actually try and do it the way you're supposed to. So I have 3 clusters running. They're all in the same place. They're all in Brussels. Because, you know, I always like my processes to be really close to the European Parliament.
Oh, I was thinking local, you know, farm to table process.
Oh, very good. So there's my region. That's annoying. It doesn't give you. There it is. There's the region ID and cluster ID. So this is actually where you find it. You can also find it.
More, we're blocking the cluster ID.
Oh, is it? Okay. Let me just zoom in.
Oh, tragic. There you go.
So Beautiful. There's Brussels and there's the cluster ID, and you can see it's actually up here somewhere as well. It's in the thing. So this is how you're supposed to find it. So let's go here. So, oh yeah, I actually should I make this? Yeah, I'm just going to make this potentially easier by turning it into a field expression. We're definitely not going to have time for some DMN stuff. We'll have to do it next time. Those who are interested in DMN, please tune in next time. But, you know, I'm still using field expressions, so you should feel somewhat happy. There's Brussels, fantastic. And then cluster ID is here. And that is here. Hurrah. Interesting that they have, I wonder why they chose to have the star, this expression, to my knowledge, is with the dollar open curly bracket is Joule, the Java Unified Expression Language that's used in what's it called? It's Camunda 7, not Camunda 8. So actually, just to nitpick, because I know Steve watches all the recordings. This actually should, if it's in feel.
Thank you.
Your
coffee
tears
delivery.
Coffee,
yes,
sorry.
Or whatever. I think it's coffee today.
Hmm.
I have a bird mug, bird cup. Beautiful.
Oh wow, that is really nice.
Yeah, I can't resist. It's got birds on it. It's mine.
Do I have birds on it? I have a duck, but yeah, that's not really.
Hey, ducks count. Waterfowl.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There we go. Yeah. There's the duck in question.
I love it.
My Preußen Munster duck. So this is actually how I think it probably should be, because this is a more Camunda 8 way of seeing it. Double bracket instead of just to nitpick. Back to work. What were we doing? Do you remember? Oh yes, I was building a URL.
Yes.
Yeah, class. So there's our URL. Let's go back to the docs. Okay, so that's a good start. So let's now go to
go to the one where you ask the AI, the AI answer, and the other tab.
Oh, you're right. Yes, good idea. So it's get task ID. So sort of get the task, and this endpoint returns a task response object. Oh, that's annoying.
Don't worry, it's spelled different than yours.
Yeah, no, the problem is that I actually, even though I'm actually in the right context, I don't know if I have access to the task ID for this one. I think I might need to make a REST call that first gets the task and then sets the date. So let's first try and get the task. This is a get, and we'll go in the specification first because I'm enjoying this. Let's get a task. Let's search for a task. So searching the task will get us an ID. Yep, that's our local thing. We don't care about that. We'll be going to search for task search. Okay, let's do it. So let me get there.
And also this one's a post, no?
No, this one actually, the other one would have been a post. This one is a post, but it's a search. Why wouldn't it be a get? I don't know. Who knows?
Hey, I just read the docs, and I know that's cheating, but
yeah, you are absolutely correct. It is a post, which is Hey, anyone in the chat thinks it should be a get, let me know, because I can bring that up with certain people.
But also stop making problems for the DevX team, the poor DevX team.
They are great. They're too good. That's the problem.
I'm sure there's a reason it's a post.
Yeah. Let's look at the criteria. This is the body of it. State created. Wait, this is the return body? Request?
That's a request.
What's the... Oh, there's the... right, okay, that's possible values. Are all these... I can take a look at the Java code. That'd be quite easy. So search, task, post, content type, application JSON. So we probably need to add that to the headers. And then query parameters is when we will... oh man, this is annoying. How does it look in curl? Can I copy and paste that? Yeah, that's a little better. Oh no, it's not.
Are you're not supposed to do again?
Kind of. I'm always just trying to do something faster, and I end up doing a much longer version of it. So I'm going to just see if I can
teaching lessons to our audience inadvertently.
Yeah, if you do a half-hour's job, it'll be done in half the time. Well, not really. So content type should be application JSON. That's a field expression. It's not a field expression. Why would that be a field expression? It's just plain text. You know what? I'm going to assume it's default. Okay, next up, query parameters.
Best practices. You know what? This is pissing me off. I'm going to assume it's just going to work.
Yeah, that's how I roll. So we have all our headers, but how do we add query parameters? I think the request body is generated here. Right, there it is. So let's go with the assignee. So assignee is Niall. This is just skipping ahead of it, but query parameters, map of query parameters. I need to actually look up the docs for. Oh, wait, no, I don't look at the docs. I'm a fool. I just need to ask the AI.
You were too
again.
happy about that.
Yeah. How do I add query parameters to a REST connector? Make it happen, AI.
I believe. Okay.
What? I don't understand that. Origin.
Field map data type.
Oh, now I get it. Oh, okay, that's
Interesting.
easy enough. That's easier than I thought. Okay, cool.
Again, famous last words.
Yeah, yeah, true. So let's add some query parameters, and we need, I think it was assignee. I don't
Yeah.
need to. Niall?
Will that work?
Is that what
Just
I'm?
your name?
Probably not. Let's find out what I'm actually called when I go into this. Assigned to me.
Who's me?
That really doesn't. Yeah, that doesn't really help.
Can you maybe go to the filters and see? Because I think you can filter by assignee.
Ooh, smart move. Filters are here. God
damn it. Wait, do advanced. Maybe it'll let you pick like certain users.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping.
Task. Oh, you can search by variable. That's kind of handy. No, that doesn't work. Okay, I'm going to assume my email address will do the trick.
Oh, I posted in the discourse forum about a problem I was having, and you were my example. And they edited my post to blur out your email, and I was like, Niall doxes himself all the time. It's
fine. No one emails me.
Yeah, I was like, I think you'd be thrilled to be like, I found your email on this forum.
Have you tried investing in my cryptocurrency? Okay, is the signing correct? So yeah. And also, I should answer that. The answer is yes, I have. Thank you very much. It was marvelous.
No, I appreciated it though, because the amount of like things that I'm in where I have a lot of like old people hobbies, like gardening and birding, and people will just like post a picture of their garden with their house number and address in plain view, and that scares me. So I appreciate when moderators are like, I'm gonna just blur that out.
Yeah, we had the big problem with that when we in the forum people kept posting their configurations for their their Camunda instance, and they would have their password and name of their server and stuff. Yeah, bad times for them. But don't worry, we got there quite quick. No one to my knowledge got doxed. I'm just going to add additional thing here to see if this works. And this is task details. This is going to error so bad.
My favorite thing is I feel like we're so far removed from the first, like the actual forum question, that I'm curious what the person who was assigned this for homework, what the intended solution was.
That's very true. I'm very sorry about that by giving you about half of the solution.
I think this is great for a lot of reasons, because I think like we've talked about this a lot, but there's no one way to solve things in BPMN, right? Like there's a million ways that you could model the same sort of idea. Because
yeah.
I was thinking like, oh, we would just have a variable that says, now this is high priority, now this is low priority. But you're like, but that doesn't do anything. It doesn't change anything about where the process is. I'm like, that's very true. Like, that's just changing a variable ID and then being like, good luck. So
The thing is, your idea could 100% work if we could then go into the front end of task list and then tell it variables with this task with this variable should we put up, but we don't have that yet. This looks like it might work. I mean, anything's possible. Let's just roll with this.
anything's possible.
Yeah, let's go to the main process again, because inexplicably we've modeled ourselves into a hole where we have to, in order to make this work, we first have to deploy a process that doesn't work with a process that just calls a sub process. So there's more stuff happening outside. There's someone saying German words with a microphone. I'm sure it's all very happy.
Yeah, German doesn't sound angry at all.
No, never. The sweet sound of German. Have you heard the rhubarb song yet? I assume you have.
No, I have no idea what you mean by that. Is rhubarb a German word? It sounds German.
I mean, I'll send you everyone should actually listen to it. Maria had heard about it, and she finds it's a quintessential German explainer song. It's a song about rhubarb, and I've listened to it, and I know a bit of German, and I could not follow a single part of this. I have no idea what was going on. So let's take a look at what's going on now. This task is pointless now. So there's important task again. Here's change task. Okay, we're in good shape. Let's assign to me. Let's complete the task, and let's see what breaks.
Okay, rhubarb is from, it's late Middle English from Old French rhubarbe, from a shortening of medieval Latin rhubarbarum, and also some Greek.
I gotta say, rhubarbarum sounds amazing. Okay, so it turns out that everything failed. Okay, so full of things. Oh yeah, I forgot about that authentication. Ugh. Oh, there's so much more work. But it looks like the rest call is correct.
Hey, positives.
Okay, you know what? Theoretically, this might work. Let's move on. Okay, so yeah, you're gonna have to take my word for it. Spargle season.
Yeah, what is a spargle?
Oh, spargle is asparagus. So like Spargelzeit is like a very important time in Germany. It's honestly, sometimes I think it's second only to Christmas, and it's when asparagus season comes in, and everywhere sells and cooks asparagus, green and white asparagus. It's great. I in fact did the same because supermarkets are just full of asparagus. Yeah, Spargelzeit. It's a good time.
Do you know about hatch chilies?
Pardon me?
It's a type of chili. Okay, hold on. I have to share this because it just reminded me of this Hatch Chili Festival. Share my screen. This is very relevant to this question.
It better be.
Okay.
I'm actually what's this?
So Hatch chilies are like, they're just a type of chili, right? But this grocery store where I used to live in Austin, and I think it's throughout Texas, it's called Central Market. They do like this Hatch Chili Fest. So they do like special branding every year for it. And they bring in like just a ton of like if you've ever seen like Trader Joe's, like, oh, it's pumpkin season, so everything's pumpkin. It's like that, but for Hatch chilies. Now, I'm not a chili type of person, but it's just very fun that everybody's excited about it. Like, look, greatest of all time, Hatch Chili Fest. Like,
are they spicy or are they just like what kind of?
I don't think they're like super spicy, but they're more like smoky. But I've got little wimpy taste buds, so I can't handle very much spice. Actually, let me look. Hatch chili Scoville rating. They can range from 1,000 to 8,000. For comparison, jalapenos are usually between 2,500 and 8,000. So milder than the average jalapeno.
That's pretty okay. That's right in the middle ground of edible stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not the kind of person that just eats spicy stuff for no reason. And then Samantha says Colorado also has green chili made with Hatch chilies.
Oh, that's what CO meant. I was like,
Yeah.
come to Co. Like, what is that? What is Co? Colorado. Okay, there we go. And I should have known since Samantha lives there, so I probably should have maybe put two together. That's on me. That's on me.
I mean, look, to be clear, you were like, "Oh, obviously this is my my Brussels server," and I was like, "Ah, yes, that's what those letters mean." So I think that happens for everybody.
And Brussels are, of course, not at all spicy. Sprouts are traditionally the least sprouts. But they were part of my Christmas dinner that I made. So let's abandon this absolute nightmare of a project. And I'm very sorry for the person who wanted me to answer that question, but I think I
roundabout
sort of did something.
A good starting point, and I think it does because we have a couple of different ways to think about it, and they can decide if they want to try to do this API stuff or solve it a different way. But I think they gave them a couple of ideas, hopefully.
Yeah, I think so too. And of course, you can always follow up on the forum.
Yes.
I saw this question today and didn't answer at the time because I had so many bad ideas for this that I thought I would wait until the one that was least bad came up. Because I think it's a very fair question. And it's one of those things where BPMN is very, very good at lots of stuff that's actually very hard to do on a programming level or orchestration level. BPMN is also really bad at loads of things. One of the things it's really bad at is going backwards. The ability to actually move back through the process easily. Like if I wanted to move backwards from eat meal and just spin around back here, there's no symbols that make that easy. It's actually quite complicated. But here's something else that's also quite hard in BPMN to visualize. And let's talk through this. So hi all. I mean that's me and Mia. This person's talking to. That we're the all. And you, lovely people who are joining the stream. Hi all. I'm trying to implement timeout for service tasks. Good idea. I don't want them running forever. If a service task takes more than 10 seconds to execute, terminate the execution of service task and move to the next configuration node. Sounds reasonable. Also, if a task times out, I want to do some timeout processing. Sure. So Camunda provides some functionality to add a timer boundary event, which I would probably consider, but I don't want to have to implement them for every task. To add a timer boundary event for every single one, and then have to add explicitly a timeout processing thing every time, right? How do I achieve implicit server timeout mechanism? And how do I catch the event in case of task timeouts? So let's talk about the solution they don't want first, and then we'll try to remove that solution. Let's create a new thing, new process application, and this one's going to be called service task timeout. Okay, so this is pretty common. You do not want your process hanging on a service task forever, which is possible in Camunda actually, if you don't do things correctly. Which is, if you're watching the stream, you've learned a lot about how to do things incorrectly. So well done. You're well on your make to making some pretty poor decisions. Okay, let's add a bunch of tasks.
Boy, it's mad at us for streaming today.
I know. There we go. I can tell you, if you're using the modeler yourself, you will not have this problem.
It says too much computing power used up to show what you're doing to other people.
Yeah, that should be an error that it just shows. So
yeah, it's like doing the most.
now, while I change these all to service tasks, Mia, you have to think of the names of these service tasks. Last time we were doing some cooking. So what's this process doing? Something that can definitely time out. That's the one thing.
I need to just like make a list of things for this so that I'm not always trying to improv them, because one of us is not an improv master. Because I'm like cooking. The other thing is baking, which like I don't know how that would time out other than like we left it in the oven too long.
I wonder if we could go with a drink orientated thing.
Okay.
Here's an example that is for me inspired by recent events. What if you were to open, let's say, sparkling water? Now, obviously, immediately it would be quite sparkly, but the longer you leave it, the less sparkly it gets. So that means at times out, you no longer want to drink your sparkling water.
Yeah, if you're a normal human.
Have you ever
if you're
come
me,
across
you're
a
like,
situation?
finally, it's drinkable.
Yeah. People in the stream should know that Mia has a habit of opening sparkling water and then drinking it 8 hours later when the sparkles are gone.
Because the sparkles make me drink it too slowly. I don't know. I'm not a big carbonation person, but I think I'm like fairly unique in that, because that seems to like people that drink soda as their like main beverage cannot understand.
So we have open sparkling water. We have open a beer. What else sparkles?
Champagne.
I was going to say catch a unicorn. Just as a real out of nowhere sort of. I think your one makes way more sense. So let's go with open a bottle of champagne.
Champagne, yeah.
There we go. Okay, so these are all things that after a certain amount of time, you want to give up and go with the next one. So the solution that the person in the forum does not want to go with is the timer event. We know that after 8 hours, it's not worth our time, and we can give it to Mia. Now they also have to do some processing. So this is going to be, of course, the one person who wants this is Mia. So they get their sparkling water just the way they like it. Give to Mia. This process writes itself.
Yeah, anyone who looks at it will understand exactly what we meant by it.
Yeah, so this is our post timeout processing, and then we can go up here and do this, and we have to do the same thing because beer can also go flat. So let's have a timer event, but let's put it above it just to make the process look even more bonkers. And the problem again is we will still. Now, Mia, you don't have to drink this if you don't want to. No, you don't usually drink beer. So we're going to give. Person. Yeah, exactly. So we'll give it to you. You can do with this what you want.
I'll wait 8 hours and then throw it away.
8 more hours. That's what beer needs. A good 16 hours of sitting around in the sun.
Yeah, everyone loves a warm, flat beer.
Yeah. Okay, and there we go. So that's the construct that you would normally make if you wanted to implement a individual timeout and processing. You can probably see
I like that in this process we must open a sparkling water, we must open a beer, and we must open a bottle of champagne. Like that's the process.
It's true. That's absolutely true. I mean, it's as the night progresses a certain way. Now, the thing about this is they specifically say that they must go to the next node after processing. So if you just didn't want to drink your sparkling water, tough, beer time. And if you waited too long for your beer, I'm sorry, but it's champagne for you. So how do we deal with this? There's a few different ways. They're all kind of weird. So do you have any ideas yourself, Mia?
I feel like there's some sort of catch event thing that will catch things. But where you don't have to put a timer on anything. But if it like is stuck on something for a certain amount of time, it'll go to that event sub-process.
Event sub-process is always a good way to go. And it will go there eventually. but I actually want to take it because that's a little bit far ahead. You're skipping ahead. Yeah, I was hoping.
Oh,
you would
good.
give
Now I know more than I used to.
I'm going to put this as our first iteration in a little pool, and I'm going to create our other examples over here. So let me just grab this and copy it. I assume copying and pasting works.
Yeah,
it does, right? Nice.
Yep, beautiful.
So the first thing we can do is we can delete this, 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 and let's make this nice and big. And we're going to have a sub-process. And this is where my modeling skills really pay off, because I'm going to hopefully drag and drop this lump in this and leave out the task. I did it.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Thank you. Finally.
Not my
we've been doing this
excitement. I'm like, whoa, you did it.
Well, yeah, it's rare that I attempt something that actually comes off. So here's one option. It's actually a little bit before the step that you were sort of interested in, which is, here we go, which is you're going to say an event subprocess, right? Which would cover the entire process.
Mm-hmm.
So what this does, it actually doesn't work yet. I'll explain the problem with it, and maybe we can talk about some potential solutions to it. But this basically works like so. We have our process. Let's drop some stop points. So we have our process. We open our sparkling water, but oh no, it's been too long. We'll give it to Mia. Mia drinks it. Mia's really happy. They've had a really good time. And then here's the problem. Another sparkling water opens. And we don't want that to happen. We want a beer to open. Okay. So how do we solve this?
You're going to tell me.
I am. So we actually need something that isn't specified by the requirements, which is because of this, we actually need, instead of having these sequential across like this, we actually need to do something that looks really dumb, but is really, really useful, which is a gateway at the very beginning. So what we can do is we have a default set of, does that move the pool? It doesn't. It's quite annoying. We have a default order in which everything goes in. So, and every time a task is, let's say, successfully completed, like we've either errored out of our sparkling water, it's timed out, or every time we've entered a task, we set a variable saying that's done. So the gateway either goes to this, or it goes to this. I really appreciate a good cross fingers, especially because I need it.
Catherine Zeta Drones is an amazing username. I just have to say.
That's very true. Yeah, absolutely. So let's make this a little more explicit. So here's how this works. And the reason this is a bad solution, and I'll tell you why it's a bad solution in a few minutes, but you can maybe tell me. So here's how this works. We start our process. It goes over, it triggers, as soon as it enters here, it then does the switch. So the variable changes. So then the timer gets all screwy. The timer says, oh, sparkling water is all screwy now. So it triggers it, goes back up, but now it goes to beer. Hurrah! As soon as it enters beer, it sets the new variable saying beer has already been had, and now skips to the next one. So next time the timer triggers, we go to the next. Now we have our champagne. So why is this bad, Mia? Or do you think it's okay?
Well, does it work also if we don't wait 8 hours? Like it'll let you go to the next one still?
Let's find out. So let's do the happy path, which is we go this way, complete the task, go this way, complete the task, go this way, and we're good.
Oh, okay.
So that does work. The issue actually revolves around something quite funny that I often forget which is why I actually thought I had so many bad solutions for this, because at a certain point you wonder, why did they not want this solution, right? And the answer is because this looks quite messy and it's hard to follow. If you look at this solution, it is literally harder to follow and messier. So the only reason this is worse, because it actually functionally works the same, more or less. The only reason I would say this is a worse solution is only because it's just as difficult to follow as this. And the reason that somebody doesn't want this is not because it functionally doesn't do what they want. It actually does. It does exactly what they want. The problem is that this makes their model more complicated than it needs to be.
Yeah, and especially if they have like a million tasks and each one of them has that timer event on it.
Yeah. Now, if they did have a million tasks, this would scale better, because in this case we would
cleaner than.
Yeah. So if they had a lot of tasks, that's the only reason this would actually work. There we go. So you could definitely make it make it work for quite a big scale. I wouldn't put it above, but screw it. Let's put it in. Okay, so yeah, so that would actually be okay as it grew up, and you could even tighten it up a little bit and just put all the sequence flows in one line if you want. That's also perfectly fine. That makes it look a little tighter as well. So there's ways to neaten it up, and you can still follow the happy path really easily with this one. And there's only one Mia's only one give to Mia task, unfortunately for you. So they only get
I'll take what I get.
Multiple give to Mia tasks here. So yeah, so those are both good options now. We got 15 minutes. I guess we could do the last one. So the last option is the one that I think I wouldn't go for it. It's also bad, but it's bad in a different way. So let's man, one day I'll solve a problem for people that's actually going to be somewhat useful. Not today. Today I've got other plans, but I
think this is helpful because you're saying here's your other options, but keep in mind it may not actually be solving what you're trying to solve, which is that this is messy.
This, in truth, is what they want. These are all the tasks that need to be executed. There are only 4 tasks, and this is a lot of stuff for 4 tasks to look at, and so is this, right? So if we think about this, this direction is going full visualization of what's really happening. So this is saying, I want to make sure people know exactly what's happening, but keep it as neat as possible. Now we can go another direction, which is actually what the suggestion you made initially, which is use an event subprocess. And this is where it's far less explicit as to what's happening.
Yeah, you need to be able to understand BPMN, so you couldn't hand this to someone that doesn't know what some of these symbols are.
Precisely, or if you just didn't want them to care about this particular action. So in this case, what you would do is, and this is this is actually something I built in production once. And I think I could hear the audible gasp of our audience thinking he built something in production. But yes, that has happened.
We have so many questions.
Yeah, who would let you near their code? Yes, some people just want to watch the world burn, and letting Nile near their production systems is a good way to do that. So here's how this works. So we begin at the very beginning where we have a timer. We have actually, I'm going to build it first, and then I'll explain it, because actually the creation is man, why do you keep doing that? It's so annoying.
Probably because you keep clicking stuff.
You know what? What? I'm not offline. You're offline. If I were offline, this would be a very different stream. I would be mostly imagining what's going on. Seriously, okay. So as I said, I'm going to build it first. And then I'll boop.
I will entertain the chat.
Do.
How are you today, chat? Tell me about the weather where you are.
Classic.
Tell me what beverage you're drinking.
How many sparkles
I have
does
an
it
iced
have?
lavender latte with oat milk because it's Pride Month and that's the gayest coffee drink you can have, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, so I think this might work. I think I remember doing this. Gosh,
That's
I really
a lot
hope
of
not.
arrows.
Oh,
Oh,
it's
Catherine Zeta Drone says it's sunny where they are. That's nice. It's rainy here, but I live outside of Seattle, so that's not a surprise.
well, I got actually quite beautiful sun just now. Big change to this morning, where the weather forecast said police and protests. Okay, so let's talk about exactly what this thing is. The first important thing about this is look at this lovely, beautiful thing. How great. The happy path is perfectly defined. Okay.
And very
Which
easy
is
to
great.
understand. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to change this quickly to wait, I shouldn't be able to change that. There we go. Yep. I'm going to change this back to a message event just for a moment. Okay. So this is really cool. I like this idea. So we're going to have to throw a signal at the very beginning of this, because the signal is going to kick off the timing apparatus. Man, this is going to be so wonderfully complicated to talk about. Okay, let's do it.
What is the triangle symbol? I don't know this.
So this is a signal event. So this like throws a signal.
Oh, okay.
And the nice thing about it is
signal events. I don't think I've ever used one.
they're really great. So message events cannot throw from the same process, which is why I'm using signal events. Message events always are either received from an external source or always throw to an external source. Here we want to communicate from here to here, which is actually the same process. There's a few symbols that do that. You could also use the conditional event kind of, but I want to use a signal event here to be more explicit. So the way this would work would be we'd throw the signal, which would then trigger this. Oh my God, that worked. Perfect. So
you're so surprised.
I actually didn't know that they implemented the signal event in the token simulation. I also realized this should be non-interrupting. Non-interrupting start event. Yeah, cool. That's helpful. So the very beginning, we throw the signal, which triggers this. And now here's what we have in parallel. We are opening sparkling water. In parallel to that, we are waiting for either someone to complete the task, which we showed, or the timer to trigger. Okay. And this is where things get complicated. The timer triggers when the time is gone. So this would trigger, and then we would need to add some logic here to actually move the task along, to actually trigger the task. So that would move forward to the open beer, which I didn't stop. So let's try that one more time. So we trigger that, great stuff. We then if the task, so the timer starts, it's got like 8 hours. Then, we've moved the task. So this, when a task is complete, it triggers the conditional event. The reason it has to do that is to re-trigger the timer. Because otherwise the timer is always set for 8 hours. So we need to re-trigger it every time we go.
Which, to be fair, could be useful depending on what you're actually using this for, right? Because it's like, if you are opening all of these in parallel, then that would be perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Rather than having it on a per task basis.
Yeah, exactly. This is not a bad solution to that. You could tell people, just ignore this. This is like, whatever. So we can.
Could you make it collapsible so that they don't even have to look at it?
You're a little genius. You know that, Mia? Yes, you can. Oh, no, you can't collapse it. Oh, come on, man. Let's see if I can cheat them into collapsing it. Because you actually can. It is a collapsed event subprocess is a process. Will it let me change it to one? Collapsed. No, I won't. So it won't let me collapse it. But like it collapse events subprocess is absolutely simple as part of the BPMN standard. So you could actually just collapse it and say, don't open this, don't look here.
Yeah, not for you.
Yeah, not for you. And so this then would just look like a straight through process, and this would be doing the stuff behind the scenes. So this is an incredibly complex construct here that almost no one's going to understand what this does. And also, you don't even know when it gets triggered because all of these are implicit rather than explicit. Everything here is implicit. This up here is the explicit way of modeling that same thing. And this is the implicit way of doing it. And then the way that this person doesn't want to do it is probably closer to the most explicit way to do it, because with every single task has a thing. But it's also one of the easier ones to follow.
Yeah, but I can see how if you have more than 3 main tasks, like the happy path is more than 3, that gets really cluttered really quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I guess it just depends on also what your use case is, how many things are in your process, who's looking at it. If it's just you, you can kind of do whatever you want. But if you have folks who need to understand like timer, when the timer goes off or what errors you're throwing or anything like that, then you need to make it a little more explicit for them.
Exactly. So yeah, it kind of depends on it depends on what you want to do. And as I mentioned, the very beginning of that, it's actually something BPMN does really badly. So it's not like there's a really good answer to it. You can either be as explicit as possible and then add a whole bunch more symbols, or you can try and hide that logic in very complex symbols. So either or is good.
You can do it, but the way you choose to do it is probably very dependent on your use case.
Precisely.
The famous Camunda, it depends.
It depends, yeah. Good old BPMN. And I think that's, I thought 3 questions wouldn't take 2 hours, but there I am, egg on my face.
I think it took us the same amount of time for 3 last time, so I think that's a good
oh, really?
A good pace. I think so. I think we did 3 in 2 hours, so yeah.
Now, quite a compliment your way, Mia, because Cafezita Drones, who you've already complimented for their naming ability, has already thought that your name deserves the greatest hallowed thing, which is, of course, naming a dog.
I will say there's a lot of dogs that have the name Mia, which I don't dislike at all. I think that means that it's a very like trustworthy, friendly name. And there's also, it's very popular in baby names right now, which is interesting. It's like, I think it was in the top 10 a couple of years ago. So I feel like as my toddler goes through school, I'm going to be meeting a lot more Mias in his generation than mine, which I think is funny.
Nice. Yeah. If anyone would like to call their dog Nile, I'm fine with that.
Well, my dog's name is Miles, so we can pretend. That's close enough.
That doesn't work. Actually, my cousin, how's the relation work? Niece is called Nia, which are the first 3 letters of my name. And despite my brother protesting, I have decided that she is named after me. So I've let her know this, despite protests from my brother. And if everyone else can join me on that, I'd be very happy as she grows up to be named after such an amazing person as myself. Anyone would be happy.
Okay, I have to tell you this because you started this, but my partner's name is Colby, which there's a cheese called Colby Jack. And I think there's a cheese that's just Colby. I don't know. That's not where the name comes from. That just is also true. His sister named his niece or his nephew. His nephew's middle name is Blue, spelled like blue cheese, and she was like, "That's for you." Which I thought was so funny.
That's the nicest thing. Imagine being really both named after your uncle in a weird way, and also named after cheese. That's incredible.
Yeah. It's very creative because we were like, oh, like, why'd you spell it that way? And she's like, oh, it's like, a little nod to Colby. I'm like, really? Oh, okay.
That's actually pretty cool. I like that a lot. How did you enjoy the stream today? Did you?
I learned a lot.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad.
Yeah. I always learn. And the next stream that we're doing is actually going to be, we met internally to scheme our BPMN battles idea that kind of popped up last time. So we're going to have a duel between Niall and Nathan. Let me pull up when that's happening. I think it's in 2 weeks. Yeah, it's on the 25th. So same bat time, same bat channel. Come see as they try to see who is better at modeling a couple of problems.
If you have some scenarios that you think would be very hard to model, or at least would make for interesting models, email community@camunda.com and tell us. I'll try to avoid looking at the email. It's a good excuse for me to do that. And myself and Nathan will then be trying to build the best version of whatever that situation is in BPMN. And I will destroy him straight up. There's
well, I think if anything,
I'm coming in hot.
To decide, right? Like the chat will vote on who's best.
I've never done well with democracy deciding on things. I don't sit well with that. So let's.
You've got to be the people's champion, Niall. Like appeal to the people.
Maybe you're right. Maybe the populist route is more my style. Yeah, I'll look into that. It's not a bad idea. Yeah. But until then, thanks for joining everybody, and hope myself
much
and Mia
appreciated. See you on the forum. See you next time, and have a good rest of your day.
Cheery bye. Bye bye.